Let's kick things off here, guys. Raiders and the Patriots. This is a game that has been incredibly interesting to follow because this number opened, got as high as 6.5, is back down to pretty much 5.5 universally now on this Raiders and Patriots game. Raiders going across the country to visit the Patriots over in Foxborough, a total of 47. Brad, let's start things with you. The Raiders coming off a big Monday Night Football win against the Saints, and then you have this Patriots team that was 1.5 yards away from beating a very popular bet in the Seahawks.
Yes. So this is probably one of my favourite bets of the week straight off the bat here. We spoke last week a little bit about the advantages for the West Coast team hosting these night games, where the East Coast team, by the second half, it's sort of 10 o'clock on their internal on their internal body clocks, and there's a long history of the West Coast team winning the second half, and we saw that in both of these night games that these two teams were involved with. Raiders, I think, tied at 17 at halftime, went on to win that one by 10. Patriots tied at 14 at halftime in their one, went on to lose by 5 in the end. So it kind of played out as you might expect. But I think kind of to take away from that is that probably the West Coast team it was flattered by the results. They had that benefit, which is going to be the opposite here. And the Patriots are going to benefit from this early start. The Raiders have got to travel cross country on the short week. Got Bill Belichick off a loss here, who is historically about 70% against the spread. After that, I know you don't like trends, Matt, but I think there is something to that. If the best coach of all time is 60% against the spread anyway, I do buy a little bit that he's going to be. We saw that picture of him just disheveled, looked like he'd been grinding tape for 3 days straight without sleeping.
I mean, we should just go off on a tangent on that just a little bit. This guy's worth like $100 million, and he's showing up in a sweatshirt that, no joke, like that was not made to look like that. I know you can buy clothes that are made to look old and that have holes already cut in them because like you're trying to be cool and all that. That was not the case with that thing. Those were natural holes. That was natural funk that was on that sweatshirt. Bill Belichick wore a 25-year-old sweatshirt. There's no doubt about it. That thing was 20 years old. Guys, if anyone thought otherwise, you're getting fooled. That was not any sort of look that he was going for.
Yeah, he's been grinding. He's got I cannot go 1 and 2 here. We're going to smash the Raiders in. And so as I said, we've got one team I think was in an unfortunate situation and now is going to be in a good situation, and the reverse for the Raiders. And then there's some interesting things coming out of New England this week in that Belichick presser. He was talking about they've been working on Cam Newton's throwing motion. He's always been a bit army, not really stepping into it, just sort of heaving it down the field. They're talking about working through that. And you kind of saw that on Sunday night, where Newton's fourth ranked passer by PFF on intermediate throws, second on deep throws from PFF, 8.7 yards per attempt from the pocket is top 10 in the league there. So we already know how efficient he is on the ground. They're just, whenever they're in the red zone now, it's Cam Newton. If they need a third or fourth down, it's Cam Newton, which makes them more efficient than the average team anyway. And now he's got a downfield passing game to go with that. Especially against a Raiders team which doesn't really have very good corners at all. And just also from that Raiders game Sunday night, obviously they won by 10 and they've probably got an upgrade here. But the Saints had 7.4 yards per play to 4.9 for the Raiders. Saints had a 60% success rate to the Raiders at 47. So there was a lot of penalty yards, which I think kind of was one of the reasons that the Raiders actually won. But either way you look at it, I think the Raiders were really flattered here. They've still got offensive line injuries, 2 rookies on the offensive line. You can be sure Belichick's going to be throwing all sorts of complicated blitzes at them. And I would imagine, reading beat reports, that they're going to double Darren Waller and make these rookie receivers beat them. So you're going to have Henry Ruggs, who did not practice, going against Stephon Gilmore. And I think Belichick's also watched this Saints game and saw that Derek Carr he's still Derek Carr. They scored 31 points. He's still missing deep open receivers. So I think Belichick's going to say, yeah, you can try and beat me deep, but you're not going to beat me with these little dump offs to Darren Waller and beat me with a scheme. I'm going to make you throw it deep. And I don't think Derek Carr is good enough to do that.
Is Waller going to play?
I was going to say, Brett, Waller did sit out practice. He has said himself that he is going to play. I mean, we know how these guys, when they come out and they say they're going to play, that doesn't necessarily always play out, because at the end of the day, it's still a team doctor decision. But he says he's going to play. Josh Jacobs actually sat out of practice as well. So just something of note, as you kind of go about handicapping this game, that there's at least a chance that one or both of those guys could sit out. And Brett, I can only imagine, as you look at this game, if either one of those guys were on the bench, you would look at this even completely differently than you do now, for sure.
Yeah, and I already see this as a beautiful spot to fade Vegas. If those two guys don't play, then yeah, I mean, how are they gonna move the ball on offense? This is just a great spot for New England. You got the Raiders coming off that home win in prime time against a Saints team that was already overvalued by the market. And like Brad said, the Saints dominated that game looking at the yards per play anyway.
Yeah.
Short week here for the Raiders. They travel across the country against a team that just has a much more efficient offense now than they did the past couple of years with Tom Brady. I love this number too. I mean, you're getting it short of 7. It's 5.5 right now. What is this number? This is a baffling number to me. I don't get it. This should be 7 easy. I don't know how the Raiders get stops.
I said to Brett earlier in the week, I said, it looks like I'm probably just going to bet every trap game this week. And if I get trapped, I get trapped. This being it, yeah. Under 6 in this all day long. I was willing to bet this at 6 as it was anyway. And now that it's moved under 6, it is definitely my favorite bet of the week. We did not talk about this beforehand, guys. This is just all of us in agreement. Promise you on that. Look, this is just a bad spot altogether for this Raiders team. One thing, Brad, that you mentioned that I think is pretty important here is Cam is actually completing balls down the field and actually throwing balls that are not kind of like these 50-50 balls that he threw for the first half of his whole career, where, as you mentioned, he always had the arm strength. He just didn't throw necessarily properly. And all of these deep passes way down the field were always ended up being these weird kind of 50-50 balls. Well, he was really accurate so far this season on these balls down the field. And the Raiders are just going to get eaten alive by this team. So same with me, guys. This was at the very top of the list for me, as it was anyway. And then getting the practice report yesterday and knowing that even if Waller does go, even if Jacobs does go, they're going to be playing at far less than 100% as it is anyway. So it seems like a great spot for me. Love New England here, -5. My best bet most likely here on the week as a top to bottom bet.